All right, so we have opened up our packs, and we're just going to take a look at what we got and maybe go over what we might be building here for the pre-release. So let's start with our rares. So our promo is Shadow of the Grave. This lets us return all of our cycled or discarded cards to our hand that we did so.
Just that same turn.
That turn.
Single turn.
So potentially a really powerful card. I think it's just waiting to be broken in maybe a constructed format. Is it good enough for limited? I mean, we'll see. It could be fun. So we might end up giving it a shot. So looking across our other ones, we have the Sandworm Convergence. Fantastic enchantment. And we are for sure going to be playing this because it's going to be a ton of fun. And it's going to be really tough for people to beat us when they can't attack us with their flyers, and they can only attack into our giant worms every turn. We have the Big Daddy Hydra, which is a foil, so it's twice as good. You get 2 times the Hydra and 4 times the heads. So definitely going to be playing that in our green deck. We have a really strong demon here, just a great flying creature. It's got cycling, so we can turn him into a new card early in the game if we don't need him. And late in the game, he's just going to be a powerhouse. So definitely a good reason to be black. We got the Cascading Cataracts, which is quite the fancy little land there. It's not really going to help us out too much for this event, though.
Yeah, what does it do? It's like add 5 mana in any combination. So if you need 5.
So we can get all 5 colors if we filter mana into it. Not really going to be necessary. We're not trying to cast any Progenitus here.
It's a shame.
And then we have 3 red rares / mythic rares over here. We have the Soulscar Mage, who is a very interesting card. I think it's a really cool effect, and it's a decent 1 mana creature that has prowess, so could be good if we're playing some red aggressive deck. I'm not completely sold that it's going to be useful at the pre-release, though. I don't see myself using it. Maybe,
like if you had like a bunch of deal damage cards, then maybe like
potentially
like burn or stuff.
It can help. It can help like our magma sprays injure a larger creature, where normally our magma spray would be useless against like a 4/4.
Well, even against your next card, it would be better if you had a lot of burn. But
right.
If you didn't, yeah.
Yep. It would be useful against someone who has something like Hazoret, who's indestructible, so we can turn our damage into minus counters instead. So maybe if we see an opposing god on the table, could be useful. So let's move on to Hazoret herself. Hazoret herself. So Hazoret the Fervent. This is a really strong card. I think this is going to probably make the deck, whatever we end up playing. It's a big creature. It's indestructible. It has haste. We're playing limited, so by the time we get to the higher end of the curve, we're going to run out of cards. She's going to be attacking and blocking, and she's going to turn extra cards into damage. So I think she's very strong. So definitely happy to open her. Probably would have been happy to open just about any of them.
Yeah, no kidding. Maybe was it Bontu or whatever? The black one's a little harder and limited.
But I think they're all just excellent cards. You should be looking to probably play them if you get one. And then our last one here is an Aftermath card. We have Insult to Injury. So I do think this card is very powerful. I think not only is it going to be good and constructed, but I think it's going to be pretty good here. The first half says damage can't be prevented this turn. That part of it is not as useful, but the second half says if a source we control would deal damage this turn, it deals double that damage. So this can be used as kind of like a pseudo overrun effect. So if we are, attacking with a bunch of creatures, we can play this before combat and potentially just end the game right on the spot. I see a lot of potential in this card, and then the back half of it is just a fairly decent removal spell, considering it's basically a freebie.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then the rest of our cards, let's see, what really stands out. So we got a pretty good gold card here. So we got the Decimator Beetle. And judging from our rares, I was sort of leaning towards black and green already, and this is just a great gold creature that's going to fit into the black and green deck. It also has some good synergy with this sort of black-green minus counter theme that's going on.
It seems like you have a lot of green, just number-wise, so that had to help a little bit in decision-making.
Yep, so going through our green, a couple cards that stood out to me were I believe it's the Quarry Hauler. Yep, so this is one of the camels. So this guy, when he comes into play, for each counter on a permanent, we're going to put another counter of that kind on it or remove one from it. Okay, so I can do either.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful.
So this is going to be good with our counter theme that looks to be sort of black-green strategy. So we can put minus counters on our opponent's dudes. We can put plus counters on our guys. And this is it's a pretty decent body. It's a 4/3 creature for 4 mana. That's not bad. And if we can use it to finish off a creature or buff up one of our creatures by a little bit more, seems like a pretty good creature, and we have 2 of them. So
yeah.
I think that's going to be a sweet card. We also have the hippo somewhere in here.
Oh, what's his name? I got him too. It was the Hungry Hippo. Where are you at? Defiant Great Maw.
Yep, there he is. So Defiant Great Maw. So this just seems like a good all-around creature. Not super fancy. By himself, he's going to be a 3-mana creature that is a 2/3.
And that's if you put him on himself.
Yep, that's if you don't have something else to pass his counters over to. And
which would be dope.
I'm just reading his.
Did you have any of those the demon guys that once it dies, all its negative counters go somewhere else?
No, I don't. So, like I said, we were looking kind of at black-green. So black. Let's look at our black because we had a couple good black cards. The one that stood out to me a lot was the Ruthless Sniper. And I kind of like this guy. He's just a 1-mana, 1/2 creature. But every time we cycle or discard cards, we can pay a mana and just put a minus counter on a creature.
That's insane.
So we have a lot of cycling. We even have some like Cycle Matters cards going on.
Especially your demon.
Yeah, cards like the demon. So we have some cards that want us to discard cards or just have cycling. Even cards like Hazaret allow you to pitch cards. So this guy can just be sort of sitting on the sidelines, blinking away at our opponent's creatures, which seems pretty good. If this is more of a slower format, then it seems like it could be like a pretty powerful effect if it is allowed to just sort of stay in play.
And then how many cartouches you have? When we opened it, you had one pack that had like 3.
So we ended up with 4 total, I believe. We have 1, 2, 3.
I think it was
We have a red one, 4. So we have 4 total.
in the colors you probably don't want to play.
Right. So we ended up with 2 white ones, a blue one, and a red one. We might end up playing the red one just because we do have one of the trials. We only got 1 trial, but it was the black one. And it's a pretty good effect for only 2 mana. It just forces our opponent to sacrifice a creature. So the worst case scenario is we're going to spend 2 mana and kill a creature.
Well, and especially because there's not a ton of removal in this set. It's like Magma Spray, a couple other red cards.
Yep.
And then from there, it's like you have to depend on your -1 counters. And
Yep. So we're going to be relying a lot on our minus counters to weaken our opponent's guys, and then we have some like big creatures with trample or flying or indestructible to kind of overpower them. So we're going to probably try and weaken our opponent's creatures and then just overpower them with some of our more powerful stuff because we have some really, really strong mid to late game plays. Our blue, nothing in blue really stood out to me. It's got some interesting tricks and a few small creatures that either fly or maybe are unblockable, but nothing that really stood out. We don't have like a rare in blue, so no good uncommons that stood out or just made me want to play blue. So maybe I just didn't open the right ones. Obviously, if I can, I try and play blue just because I enjoy it, but it doesn't look like we have much going on.
That's a very compelling argument.
And then our white is very strong. We have a very good core like set of white cards. Like we have some really good flyers with cycling and some just good creatures with embalm. So our white, like as a core color, might be okay, but again, it's just kind of lacking like
That last
the
bit of
power.
oomph.
Like we have some solid cards. Like I think the Seraph of the Suns is a very playable card, and this maybe is the bomb creature that we have in white.
But it's also is 7 mana.
It is kind of it would have to be our top end creature. And unfortunately, I think a lot of the ways to kill creatures in the format can kind of get around the indestructible.
Yeah.
So it might not end up being as like unbeatable as we think. But like we have a lot of solid embalm creatures. They're just good power and toughness to mana. They come back, which means that they're just going to be great to just sort of slog through the game. We even have a pair of the angels in here.
Ooh, a pair of them? Are you kidding me?
I thought we did.
Ugh.
Maybe not. Yep, they're there. So we have the winged shepherds.
That's insane. Flying vigilance. Cycling for
Well,
one.
not embalm. It's a cycling angel. So
But still.
just a decent flyer with cycling. It's a little expensive, but we can always cycle it for a single mana whenever we want to. And I think cycling is just incredibly powerful, and cards that have cycling are just automatically, I think, just better than cards that do not.
Especially with 2 winged shepherds. Like one might get stuck in your hand, so you pitch the first one, and then you wait till later game to get the second one, but it's really powerful.
Yep. So yeah, I think you need to, when you're evaluating cards, I think you need to evaluate cards with cycling very highly, even if they're maybe weaker creatures or cards that are extremely narrow. Things like the Dissenter's Deliverance, it only destroys an artifact. That's very narrow effect, but it has cycling, so we can use it to get to the next card in our deck, which might mean getting the land that we need or getting the right spell that we need for the time.
Exactly. So I think our next step is going to have Elliot's going to put his deck together how he sees fits, and then we'll check on him in a couple minutes or a minute. It's YouTube. It's YouTube time. Elliot, hit it with the deck tech.
All right, and we're back. This is my deck here that I'll be playing.
Jundum.
So we're going to try and Jundum out. So what that means is we're going to hopefully stay alive until we can slam our big bad creatures and enchantments. And we're just going to overpower them with the better cards. So yeah, like I said, we kind of end up in like a -1 counters theme. It's sort of black and green, but we also have a little bit of red for some removal spells like Electrify, Magma Spray, Injury or Insult to Injury, and we're going to play the God that we opened because she just seems really cool and fun to play. So we had to get those in there. So I like my deck. I like the top end cards. I think they're going to be sweet.
Almost literally top end. Just all 3 in the back. Get it from the back.
So I think if we can survive, then we're going to be in great shape. My concerns are we don't have a lot of cheap creatures and cheap things to do.
But you got one of the best in the sniper, at least.
We do have some strong cards, I think, throughout all of our stuff here. But we don't really get into our power until we're up here. And the mana, might be an issue. We have the 1 Evolving Wilds, and we have the Naga Vitalist that can make a mana of any color, or a mana of a color of a land that we control.
That's my only concern.
Again, we do have a good amount of cycling. I'm going to probably end up playing at least 1 Tormenting Voice We've got a second one on the sidelines just in case. And so we have those, and we also have a painful lesson. Painful lesson. So between those and some of our cycling, that's going to help a lot in getting to just not only make land drops, but hopefully getting to the right lands. But I think that's the big weakness that we have is our mana base might be a little bit shaky. So
Yeah, because you're not. It's sometimes when you have a curve with mana problems, it's like it's always good to have like, oh, I need all my green early, but then later it's fine, or oh, I need my black early and my red later. But it's just like you have all three colors in each column except this one
Yep.
in your later game.
Yeah, we have a pretty good even mix of red, green, and black here. I put a couple cards down here as
Kind of your last
other.
cuts.
Yeah, these are cards that didn't quite make it, but maybe they will. You know, maybe I'll play a match and realize that we need something like this. Not sure about this card.
Skrillex.
I feel like we had one of these cards in one of the formats a few sets ago, like a little creature that you can sacrifice to get a land. I don't remember it being that good.
It wasn't sack. If it died, it was.
Okay.
It was. I want to say it was like
Prim-
battle
okay.
or
Yeah, that
oath.
was from Eldritch Moon. That's like the Primal Druid.
Oh, that
So
one.
I do know that card. Yep. Yeah, that was a 2-mana like 0/3 that when it dies you go get a land.
Oh, and it was also in Oath too. It was like a 1/3, and if it died,
You could go get a land. Okay.
yeah, land. It's a common theme. This one's expensive though.
This one, the nice thing about this one is that it activates itself. So maybe it's playable, and maybe we might need this effect just as a blocker for the first 2 turns, and then a land on turn 3.
Yeah, it is an 0/3. That doesn't sound too bad.
So this is definitely a maybe card. I also wouldn't mind playing another Tormenting Voice, just to be able to move through our deck to get to stuff that matters.
New card art. Who dis?
Think of any other notes. The Hooded Brawler, I think, is just a solid creature. It's just a 3-mana 3/2 is like pretty average. It was kind of the next best creature I had in line because I work a little bit low on creatures. Like we have some good creatures, like some powerful ones that are either like working towards our theme and like actually, furthering our strategy, like the Sniper. Or like the Naga, or some of our top end cards like the Demon or the Beetle.
That Hooded Hydra is just insane. Hey, 6/6 Trampler. Didn't like it the first time.
Yep.
Get it the second time for less.
But we don't have a ton of just sort of filler creatures, so we might find ourselves lacking on stuff on the battlefield. Is what it looks like might end up happening. But we can always rely on the convergence of the sandworms because the spice must always flow.
Well, guys, this is Elliot's Jundum deck, and you can look forward to this at the midnight pre-release. Hopefully, this will be running as you are playing your deck. Thanks for watching, guys, and please subscribe to the Odyssey Games YouTube channel, and we'll see you at F&M.
We'll see you next time.